Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on in. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe here, that'd mean a lot to me. If you could subscribe to the Tobin and Leroy show, which is available for you on the WQAM YouTube page. Check that on out and chime in as you so see fit. So, the Miami Heat got some fantastic news today on the injury report. Kevin Love has been upgraded to questionable for Tuesday's home game against the Golden State Warriors, and Kevin Love has missed the last 13 games for the Miami Heat with a bruised heel. So this is absolutely huge, the fact that Miami is possibly getting their backup big. He has been out since the Portland game at the end of February, which was their best month of the season, and they've been missing him. They have been missing Kevin Love. They have been missing what he has brought as a backup big. They have missed his shooting. They have missed his connection with Jimmy Butler coming off the bench. This is absolutely huge news. And in a lot of ways, I don't want to say it's more important than Tyler Herro coming back, but I do think that they have people who could do some Herro-esque things on this team. Finding people to do the things Kevin Love does at the rate that he does them, that's a collective. You know, I think that Thomas Bryant has done a lot of nice things, especially over the last handful of games, having to start in Bam's place in Cleveland on top of all of that. But Kevin has just done a marvelous job in being this connective tissue with the unit that kind of comes in with Jimmy Butler. You wonder if that's even going to have a little bit of help with Jaime Jaquez as well, because, you know, there's definitely a mentor-protege kind of relationship there. I mean, Kevin Love's got one of those things. He's everybody's best friend on the team. Everybody loves Kevin Love. That's been the case since he's been in Cleveland, has been the case since he's gotten to Miami. People really enjoy playing with this guy. So the fact that he is coming back for these last, dozen or so games is huge. I think it's going to be a great boost for Miami. That's coming off a game where you just don't want to see Miami let up from where they were this last game against Cleveland. You never know. You with this Heat team over the last couple of years, you can get a false sense of security. They got a Warriors team that is up and down a little bit right now. That's playing for the play-in spot right now. They're battling for their own lives with the hot Houston Rockets passing them in the standings. They're jockeying back and forth, and so this one is definitely is going to be one with a lot of stakes on it in the midst of this game coming up in the Kaseya Center on Tuesday night. As of right now, you have a team that the whole story for them the last time around with the Warriors, Steve Kerr got ripped because they weren't playing Steph Curry as many minutes, and that they have a very grueling schedule right now, and so. You figure with them being on the front end, they got 5-7, 3 out of 4. Maybe that's going to put a situation where if Miami could jump on this Warriors team, maybe you get Steve Kerr to even wave the white flag early on this one. Just seeing how they're situated with things right now. But you can never, obviously can never write them off because of their credentials, their pedigree. They're always, you have to know that they're going to try and come into this game strong and have a big resolve after losing a couple in a row to Indiana and to Minnesota. But getting Kevin in, I think, really does help a lot of things. I think that, it first of all brings a newness to it. I think that, he's going to have those big time passes that, again, I don't know what to expect out of his shooting. The last time that he played, he had the game in Portland, but the game before that, it was like 19 points in 15 minutes for Kevin Love. You were marveling. Maybe was playing some of his best basketball of the season, which is what made it so, deflating that you lose somebody like him. But obviously, at his age, where he's at, you want to be very, very careful and be slow to bring him back all the way. And the fact that he's here now for this stretch run, this was the talk a couple of weeks ago when they're saying, we'll probably get Tyler and Kevin at some point before the end of the season. So you got Kevin Love back, and now we're all just sitting here as we're going on 16 games now straight without Tyler Herro, who is still out with that foot inflammation. We know he got the injection, waiting on the right time to kind of reevaluate and assess where things are at. Suppose I could do it before a game. I would say the Heat probably will practice on Thursday. Maybe there'll be a little bit more clarity. Maybe some reporters, I'm going to be on the air, so I won't get a chance to be there, but maybe some reporters will see, hey, Tyler Herro's doing some work there. Maybe Thursday will be the day that you get a few more answers on Tyler Herro and where he's at. Meanwhile, good news on Jaime Jaquez. He was also listed as questionable for Tuesday's game against the Warriors, as he has been dealing with left ankle discomfort. And look, Jaime has been having a tough go, especially shooting the basketball. You know, it was funny. I saw one of these clips perusing Heat Twitter today, and it was an audio file from the Bill Simmons podcast with his crony Ryan Russillo. And, you know, they were talking, all of a sudden, Bill Simmons, who, claimed that he was like wetting his shorts because the Miami Heat had found Jaime Jaquez. Now, all of a sudden, he's rats off Jaime Jaquez's ship. And I got to tell you, Jaime, if you get this message, dude, trust me when I tell you, nothing could be better than that guy being rats off your ship. I mean, if you want to talk about a whammy of somebody who you don't want invested in your stock, it's Bill Simmons. I mean, the guy is an absolute dope. So I was happy to hear that. Yeah, he could never shoot. I told you this, Bill. He can't. So trust me when I tell you, Jaime, best news possible that this dude is rats off your ship. All you gotta do now is stay away from that damn JJ Redick. All right, dude is a torpedo of mojo. So just keep all that in mind, and hopefully, we'll get Jaime Jaquez back up to speed and where he's capable of being. Because I am curious, like genuinely with the Miami Heat. And I could say this, Simmons, you pipe down. You act like you've been here for 3. Worry about not blowing a 30-point lead to the Hawks, okay? Do that. Trust me, you paper regular season champion. Like go hang a banner like it's hockey or soccer, dumbass. Anyway, I want to see, Jaime is a big factor for this team as far as when we talk about ceiling of the team and what they could do this year, and people talking about this being a deeper Miami Heat team. He's a big, big reason for that. And he hasn't quite felt like he has been. And it was interesting. The one thing I will say, even though I want him to stay away from old JJ Redick, I digress. The one thing I would say is, Jaime did make the sounding of the marathon bother him. And then when he misses games and he tries to come back and getting up to speed, and all those types of adjustments to the pro game after not missing a lot of times for injuries in college, maybe he is having a little bit of a tougher time adjusting, playing through stuff, and trying to get himself at the best version of what we have seen Jaime Jaquez be at the best version of himself. Because, there's been performances in there where you still see like, damn, this dude has got the energy, the footwork, the ability to kind of fit in anywhere, the benefit to cut into the right spots and not need that ball in his hands. It was interesting because there was a time in this year where I think a lot of people made the parallel of Tyler's non-play into Jaime's good play, and I didn't really buy into that, but people on Twitter like to throw things against the wall. And really, you've seen now, like, no, there's been some things that are just on his own level that he's got to adjust to and get through. And once he does, man, it's going to be Danger City for the Miami Heat. And fully expecting, by the way, look, you never know when those breakthrough moments are going to be. Look at Patty Mills. Patty Mills has been throwing up brick after brick after brick, and now all of a sudden he's doing the breakdown of Coucha. And now we're hopeful that maybe he gets on a torrid run here, because this dude, if you're talking about a rising tide, there should be an onslaught of threes coming from Patty in the next few games, and that's what you're hopeful for. So right now, as I record this, it's 11:09, and we got a couple West Coast games that are of interest. I'm not staying up till 1 o'clock to do a video today on this, but you got the Pacers and the Sixers, who are both in West Coast action tonight. And let's see if we get an early read as I do these. Right now, the Pacers are down 5, but they're just a quarter into the books, and the Sixers are down 9. So both good news if they can stay in that trajectory right now. You obviously want to see both these Eastern Conference teams drop. If that is the case, then Philadelphia will remain behind Miami. They'll go a game back of them in the loss column. Right now, they both sit with the same record. Miami is the tiebreaker. And then Miami, they could go up on Indiana tomorrow with a win because Indiana would drop to 40-33. And Miami would have a chance to go to 40-32 with a win tomorrow. But they could also have them drop back in the loss column. So that is what they are keeping an eye on. We'll obviously get into that into the radio show tomorrow of things. But the number one thing you got to be excited about tomorrow is the potential return of Kevin Love, who we've not seen in a baker's dozen. And hopefully he injects even more life into this Miami Heat team, which, look, in this stretch run, Spo was making an interesting point the other day after the game. And, he was kind of debunking the narrative that this Miami Heat team doesn't care about the regular season.
I mean, I wish it would have had the play-in rules, right now, where this would count like more for something, I guess. But no, not the play-in. Yeah, the in-season tournament. I always get that confused. More than anything, than the score, it's just, seeing a collective response. The one thing about our group is this group really cares. Even after a night like the other night where it looks like it's, you can define it in a bunch of different ways when it's a really lopsided loss, and you could erroneously say that's a listless team. It's not. This is a team that cares deeply, and there's so many of the guys that have a personality. Probably, throw me in there too. We beat ourselves up, after poor performances.
Trust me, we're throwing you in there, Spo.
And we just can't wait to get back out there again to try to make amends for it. And that's the thing I really admire about this group. The group cares, and even through some of the tough times, there can be some benefits, from that.
Yeah, he's talked about that before, that sometimes, success can be the worst teacher. He's gone through that. I do agree. You think about the guys that are the mantle of this team. I think Jimmy obviously gets that narrative a lot because, he misses games, and it can look very much like he's not engaged and can be, people say this, Jimmy's a contrarian, right? Like he will kind of buck against the curve of some things, and, people think that they'll have him figured out one moment, then nobody will be able to stop him. But I think, part of the thing that probably makes Miami look listless is they have not been a very good offensive team this year. And I think when you're not making shots Jimmy is always will always diagnose the team with this, that bleeds into their offense, that bleeds into their defense rather, very easily, which is why Miami will get into spots where they seem to allow teams to get on these crazy runs on them. And I think that is what looks a lot like not caring. But if you do think about the character of a lot of the guys on this team, and especially a lot of them being good two-way players, that they do care. And I think especially, the head coach and the top two guys in the team being as good at two-way players as they both are, and Bam and Jimmy, that the care can be really good. It's just they need to have that switch of terrorizing people on the defensive end and forcing turnovers and just being an absolute pain in the ass to play with. And it is tough to bring that to the table every single regular season game. And they just haven't had the fluidity and the consistency of their roster and their shooting and all that stuff to have easy ones. There aren't enough easy ones like they had last night. They just seem like they have to work so hard for everything that they get, for whether it be wins or just damn points. And when it doesn't go well, it can look really ugly. I think that's the point Spo's trying to make there. But they got to keep this rolling, man. I really think you have a Warriors team that's going through it a little bit, and then obviously that awful Blazers team coming in. These are two home games that Miami absolutely has to grab in this critical run, and hopefully we'll get some good results for the rest of the night.